Hello, everybody. Joe Ringen here. I'm an author. I wrote a book of epic fantasy. It's called The Ballad of Ages. Hope you pick it up and read it and like it. Today, though, I'm not here to talk about my book. I'm here to talk about another book that is a million times better. And I'll give you a review of it because I like to give back to the community of readers. That's the whole goal of this YouTube channel. Is to give some feedback, some reviews of some awesome books that maybe are well known, maybe are not, but I want to present these to other people, and hopefully you get inspired by these books that you might not see other places. Just like me, I have found this book, a lot of books on YouTube rabbit holes, like these awesome channels, staying up too late, watching really smart dudes and ladies talk about cool sci-fi fantasy books and classic literature too. That's important. But just bringing that out so that other people like me can read them and find inspiration in them, and make them better people and better writers. That's what I like. That's what I want to do. Is both of those things. But mainly my search is for writing. But if I become a better person through it, more the better, right? So today I'm bringing to you a book that I'm just going to say right now, this is the craziest, most awesome book. If you want to call it a book, we'll get into that. But I'm so excited to talk about this one. So it's Star Maker. The book is called Star Maker by Olaf Stapledon. And I want to give kudos to SF Words of Wonder. That's the YouTube channel that I found this book on. SF Words of Wonder. That's a cool channel. There's a lot of other ones out there, but that's where I came across this one. That dude does a lot of like old sci-fi books. He's going through a whole list of them. Anyway, a lot of good stuff out there. So today, yeah, like I said, I'm super excited about Star Maker. And the coolest thing too, like when I saw this, I got two books at the library. The last one was Pattern Master, which was my last review. Oh, by the way, if you suffered through my last review, for like the audio was all wonky. I think my headset microphone finally just bit the dust. It's old, but it's Thanksgiving week and a lot of Black Friday deals on Amazon. So I got this I don't know if you can even see it. It's like a cool microphone. It's got sweet lights, but anyway, it was like $20. So I got that, and the audio. I tested it. Hopefully, I didn't just mess it up by moving the camera, but yeah. So the audio won't be all janky anymore, like the last video. The book was great, Pattern Master, but sorry, the video was trash. Anyway, but today, yeah, Star Maker. The cool thing is, both those books were at the library, Pattern Master and Star Maker. I was shocked to see Star Maker at the library. It's like pretty old. It was made in 1937 or published in 1937, and it's like I don't know. I don't see it at any stores, not even used bookstores. So I was blown away, super stoked about that. So I picked it up, and like this cover is pretty dope. Like this cover very accurately depicts what happens in this one. Buckle up. This book is craziness, but so awesome. It's so good, Pete, man. It's so good. Uh, we'll get into it. So I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to spoil it. You know what happens. So just beware. This review is gonna be full of spoilers. You just can't talk about it without spoiling. But like the thing about it, it's not really spoilers for this because like it's not a story, honestly. This book, it's not really you can't. I guess you can't spoil it. There's no spoilers. I'm just going to talk about it because this book is not a normal book. Like it's not story. There's not a plot. There's not like the character development, rise and fall, denouement thing. This book is, I felt like I was reading the book of Revelation from the Bible. I'm not even kidding you. That's what this book was like. It's it's honestly, it's like a vision. It's and it's not like one of those like 1960s LSD trip visions. This is not that. This is like an intelligent vision. It very much felt like the book of Revelation. I'm not kidding you. I'm not claiming this is divinely inspired, okay? I'm not saying that, but it's very intelligent. It's very grounded in science, even. Like, this is not just some dude. It's clearly not Olaf Stapledon didn't just like do a bunch of like shrooms or something and saw this crazy stuff. Because all of this is very scientific based. Like, I, there were times when I was reading this book where I like forgot I was reading science fiction. I felt like I was back in school, like just reading a history of the galaxy. Like, it's that cool and that accurate. Everything is grounded in science. Now, of course, there's a lot of philosophy and religion baked into this, so that's not grounded in science. But even that was fleshed out really well. So like it kind of felt like, oh, this could totally be real, or this happened million centuries or whatever, like million centuries in the future, I should say. This is a sweeping view of the galaxy. Okay, so I'm gonna just go back and talk about what this book is about a little bit, because you guys are all like, "What in the world are you even talking about?" I haven't even told you what this book is, what happens, or what it's about. So again, there's not really a story, but what it is, the main character. And now that I think about it, I don't know, I don't remember the main character's name. I don't think he had a name. Honestly, I don't remember it. But anyway, so he's like a normal guy in London, and he goes outside and stands on a hill to look at the stars. You know, his wife's inside cooking, and he goes outside for like a smoke or something. I don't even remember. But he goes outside, stands on a hill, looks up at the stars, and he's you know, it's kind of like a midlife crisis. I got the gist of it. He's kind of like has the questions that everyone has. What am I doing here? What's my purpose? What's the point of life? What's the meaning of life? You know, all this stuff. And then he's looking up at the stars, and then all of a sudden he just gets like pulled up into the cosmos. You know, like totally Elisha moment. Pulled up and is like given. He's like placed on the balcony of the universe. You know, he can see all of the universe, all the galaxies, planets, stars, creatures. You know, he gets to see it. And you know, it's a little more than that. He does travel too. So like he's traveling to the different planets through interstellar travel, and then this thing called telepathic travel, which is awesome, but I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds. And you know, he meets a bunch of like other alien creatures, and they become friends, and they explore the universe, and they see what happens. So, but don't be thrown. But I don't want to mislead you guys with that, because like that's really not what this is about. This isn't about, you know, this isn't Travels with Charlie. You know, it's not about like this epic road trip where he stops and sees the different worlds, and that's like not the point. That's not the story. That's like a background thing that happens. But what the story is, it's really like an epistolary story. You know, like, well, it's not like letters, but it's like a journal entry. He's writing down his vision of all these things he sees, all the different people, alien creatures, alien species, all different planets, and it's just craziness. But it's on a super grand scale. It's the whole drama of the universe, beginning to end, and then end to beginning, and then beginning to end again. Like, okay, so a little bit of spoilers, but man, it's so hard to explain this book. So, so a couple things. So I don't want you to go into this book thinking it's going to be this crazy sci-fi tale, right? That's kind of what I thought of this book. Uh, I thought, it's, oh, he's going to go see all the different planets and he's going to colonize them or whatever. No, this is his journal entry of this. So like, kind of like Lewis and Clark, that one book. When when they travel to America, I haven't read it, but it's very famous. It's kind of like that, but like he's traveling the galaxy or the universe. But so then, okay, you're all asking, great, that's super boring. Why would I want to read that? Um, and that's a valid point if you're asking that. So, why do you want to read that? Is because this this journal, whatever. Um, and again, I'm going to talk about this like it's like real, like it's this is not a real person's journal. It's written that way. It's a fictional person's fictional journal. Um, so this I understand this is not real life. You'll find though if you read this, it's easy to blur the lines. It's so well written and so smart. All the science is so good that you could easily get confused that this is a real like journal or biography or whatever. But I know it's not. Okay, so there you go. Maybe I want it to be, but it's not. I know that. Um. So anyway, so why is this good? Why is this so interesting and fascinating? Number one is the writing style, and I harp on this with every book. This checks every box for me. This writing style. It super grand vocabulary. I mean, Olaf Stapledon. I read his bio on Wikipedia, and like he was a super smart dude. I think he was a philosophy teacher or something in London, something like that. So he's super smart, and you can tell. Like you can absolutely tell. Reading his sentences, they're packed with meaning. This book. Look at this. It's short. It's not a big book. It's 190 pages. But I don't know if you can see it. It's very dense. Like it's very rich and dense. The words are packed with meaning and sub meaning. And I reread paragraphs many times to make sure I grasped all the juiciness of the words and the paragraphs. Because you could read it quick, and some my mind will wander, and I'm like, oh no, I got to go back and reread it because there was something awesome there, and I want to get it. So I did that a lot. So even though it's a short book, if you really want to commit to getting the most out of this book, it'll take a bit. This book took me about a week and a half, where a book this size normally takes me like 2 days. But there's so much in there. So good, man. So good. But it's kind of like, it's kind of like scripture in that case, in that sense. Like some books of the Bible are very short, but man, you gotta dig in. You gotta get your hands dirty and reread many, many times to get it all. So it's kind of, go into it with that expectation, and you'll love it. Okay, so that writing style, amazing. I loved, and I learned. So I have like a couple criteria. I learned new words. I learned a ton in this, and I love that. And it makes me a smarter. It makes me smart. I come out smarter than I did going in, and absolutely, I learned a ton that I did not even know I wanted to know about. So like the three big pillars this book deals with is science, philosophy, and religion. Those are the best topics of any book. And this is cool because it does it in a different way. Like a lot of great science fiction deals with all those things, but they're kind of like furtively done. Like it's not like hit you over the head. We're going to talk about science now. It's not a textbook. Or we're going to talk about religion now. Like in science fiction, the reason it's so great is because it kind of sneaks up on you. And then you read the story and you're like, that was a cool story. But then you're like laying in bed at night and you're like, oh, what are the sandworms in Dune? Like, are those like gods? Like and then you start to think about stuff. So that's why science fiction is great and why I love it. This absolutely beats you over the head. It says, we are talking about science now. We're talking about religion now, and we're talking about philosophy now. It's written kind of like a textbook in that way, but it's just like really good, and it doesn't feel like a textbook. I don't know how else to describe it. Probably because it is sort of made up, so you don't feel like you're sitting in class staring at the clock. It is still science fiction, so you're still having fun with it. So you, this is the like I said, this is the weirdest, most coolest book I've ever read. So how does it deal with these things, and what do you get out of it? I think the reader's going to get out of it what you put in, and the other awesome thing about this I found, kind of like Canticle for Leibowitz, is this is not like the author is not taking a position other than science, because he kind of, science is sort of black and white. Scientists out there are probably going to blast me on saying that, but like especially with the religion and philosophy parts, he's not saying like he's not taking a stand and saying this philosophy is correct, this one is wrong, or this religion is correct, or this religion is wrong, or religion in general is correct, and or whatever. He's not saying any of that. What's fun about this is he's playing out all the different scenarios in of like each version. So like, and you get to see it play out, and you see again in his mind, it's not necessarily truth, but I think there's a lot of truth in there, and at least wisdom for sure. So he kind of comes to the conclusion. He doesn't state this, but he sort of comes to the conclusion, and you as a reader come to the conclusion that out of the entire universe, there's all sorts of different creatures. Some are big, small. They have all these different features and stuff. Lots of alien species. And they all grapple with the same questions or spiritual crises of, us humans. Like, again, why am I here? What's my purpose? Who's my creator? What happens after death? So like everyone kind of has, and that's I think that's very smart. And if I had to bet my paycheck on it, I would think that most, if not all, living alien species in the whole universe, thinking species, grapple with those same questions. Can't prove it. We don't even know if there are like other alien species out there. So this is all based on that premise that there is. And we don't know. Maybe in real life they don't care. They don't have those questions. I think they will. And so does Stapledon. At least in this book, he presents it that way. So it's really fun to see, kind of comforting that we're not alone in that. And then, so there's, the spiritual crisis. And beyond that, he talks about sort of like politics too, because you get to see the rise and fall of galactic empires. You get to see the demise of civilization. It usually boils down to the same things: greed, like power, lust for power. Everyone has good intentions at first, and then people are power hungry, so they go to war with each other, and then galaxies fall and crumble, and it's kind of, it's the history, or the circle of history, cycle of history repeats itself, but not only on Earth, but the author presents this cycle of history repeating itself on the galactic universal stage, and it's fun to read about. Okay. So if that doesn't get your attention, if that's not interesting to you, I don't know what else to say. I hope it is. I think everyone should read this book. Um, we all need to understand these questions, and we all need to think about their impacts with the answers and the perspectives of them, and we need to help each other with the struggle of it. And then there's so much more. This video might be a million hours long. So so that's fun to see. Um, I selected some passages I'll go over with you guys. So like, if you want to tune out now, if all you wanted was a review, great. The review, I gave it 1,000,000 out of 10. Um, but I do want to put the caveat: if you're expecting, again, the swashbuckling space opera, that's not this. Don't read it. You'll hate every second of it if that's what you want. But if you want a book that's going to stretch your mind, it's going to make you more empathetic towards all the other, on our world, all the other cultures of people, even like nature. The author talks about how important nature is, and you have a better appreciation for even just the ordinary things of how amazing just like the ordinary things are that we take for granted. We're always so fascinated and so fixed on the extraordinary stuff, the supernatural, the you know whatever, aliens and stuff, all that crazy monsters. We get so fascinated on that, and we forget how amazing it is, just like a tree in your backyard, like how it grows, how the leaves fall, and how that is such an important part to the whole like ecosystem. Like that's magic. So that's why I think everyone should read this book. So that's the review. It's an amazing book, especially if you're a fan of sci-fi, and especially if you like philosophy and even science. But okay, so now I'm going to just go into just gushing about this book. So again, tune out if you want now. My review is that it's awesome. So, all right, so touching on the science part of this book, what's so cool, apparently the concept of Dyson spheres originated from this book. So Dyson spheres, I'm going to just broadly describe it, and because I'm not a scientist at all. That was my worst subject in school. So Dyson spheres, okay, it's basically like a way that it's like a mega structure type thing where man can use it to harvest energy from a star or like the sun, and then deflect that energy, harness it to use on Earth. Because we'll at some point we'll run out of energy from our own planet, so we have to harvest energy from something else, and the sun has an abundance of energy, and so a Dyson sphere is like a structure to harvest the energy of the sun. Well, that idea originated in this book. How cool is that? He didn't call it a Dyson sphere, but it's that idea. Some scientist named Dyson later in like the 60s wrote papers on, I don't know. But anyway, so that idea came from this book. And it's really like he describes it really well and very smartly, intelligently. How that happens. And then in this book, that the stars become angry and then they explode themselves and then hurt the planets. So it's kind of cool. That's another fun thing. In this book, he presents it as the stars are actual beings too. They're not just like things. They're not just like a part of nature. They're actual beings. Not necessarily gods, but they're beings, and they play a huge part in the structure of the universe, obviously. And so man, doing what he does best, invades and upsets the natural habitat of the star and sort of sets it off course from its intended function by harvesting energy, and then it gets mad and then blows up and bye man. Like so so nothing else is kind of a warning to us. But yeah, so that part was super cool. And the science part, talk about interstellar travel, how man starts to colonize space, and I didn't quite understand totally, but it was like they figured out a way how to move planets and move stars. And obviously that was bad for the natural habitat and the order of the universe, because everything is placed very specifically. The awesome thing too that I was so happy to read this. The way that Stapledon, the author, describes the universe is like music. So that was great because that's how I understand things the best. And it's also very much Silmarillion. That's how J.R. Tolkien does too. So it's very awesome. And there's a little bit of that in my book, but it's much better, much described much better in Star Maker. So read Star Maker and then read my book. If you can only pick one, pick Star Maker. Um, but yeah, he describes it as like music. So like the planets, they can. There's a certain rhythm and emotion and a time meter that they're in. They harmonize with other planets, and if you kind of move them off course, that's going to shift the whole symphony, and everything is messed up. And so obviously the planets don't like that, so they rebel and they fight against and they push against it, and the star maker, the creator, the composer, he laid everything out exactly the way he wanted it, and yeah, it's so cool. Read it, man. Just read it. All right, so that's. Oh yeah, so the Star Maker. So Star Maker in this book is God. So the main character eventually he kind of goes through like different religious phases. So he's definitely an atheist at one point, where he's like, "There's no, the only purpose in life is just to exist within the symphony or within the tapestry," and that's good enough for me. I'm playing my part in the grand symphony. I'm When it's time to play my musical note, I play it, and then the song goes on, right? So then he's totally okay with that. But eventually he kind of falls into religion, as do a lot of the different societies in this universe. And they all despair, they have spiritual crisis, and then they all want to seek the Star Maker. Or the main character, eventually he needs to find the Star Maker. That's like his despair, right? And it's played out really well and it's described really well in this, better than I'm going to describe it. Because what happens in a lot of these societies is they either crumble, they kill themselves, through power, hungriness, or greed. Every society just kills themselves, or they do reach enlightenment. They overcome those like sins or those character flaws, and they do reach full enlightenment. They reach utopia, and it's great for a little bit, and then they all basically just fall into despair, spiritual crisis. They all get to a point where it's like they have all the luxury and convenience they ever need through technology and science. They basically they physically atrophy. I mean, they sit there on a chair and everything's fed to them, through technology or whatever. And so they basically just become like a pile of mush. And so they physically atrophy, but then they start to spiritually despair because, they have everything they need, but they're like, oh man, what else is there? There's got to be something else. Like, there's got to be more. And it's so well described, and oh, it's such an interesting thing. But eventually, I wish I put a post-it note on it. I forgot to do it in here. But one of the best parts is like the main character eventually sees the whole grand sweep of the universe from start to finish, and so he's seen every nook and cranny of the universe, and so he's still there, and he's basically just like totally panicking. He's freaking out, and there's nothing left to explore. He's seen everything, and there's nothing else out there, right? That freaked me out too. I was despairing along with him. Just imagine yourself in that situation where you have experienced everything, you have seen everything. There's nothing more that the imagination can imagine. There's nothing more out there for you to see or explore. How depressing is that? I would just crumble if I was that character, and that's what he does. And so he because of that, that's how he finds or how he needs to find the Star Maker, because he eventually realizes that's the one excuse me, that's the one thing left, is to meet the creator, right? He's seen all of the creation, every single nook and cranny, nothing left for him to see. But he hasn't met the creator. So that's how he kind of turns about, and then he goes on like not a quest, but like he tries to find the Star Maker or God. And eventually he does. And that's the end. I'm not gonna like just read it for yourself. It's a cool thing. It's a very well written part when he meets the Star Maker and describes it. And you kind of have to don't, I will recommend this book to everyone, all my friends. I come at it with a Christian lens. I'm a Christian. Most of my friends are. And I wholeheartedly recommend this book to all my friends, whether they're Christian or not. But I worry that my Christian friends, or maybe not friends, I know they're all kind of weird like me, would kind of like this book. But I know for a fact there's some out there that would see this and sort of all of a sudden just, throw in the garbage, because it kind of presents the same things that you could find in scripture, but from a totally different angle. Like, that's why I say it's kind of like Revelation, but it's not. Obviously, it's not in the Bible, but it's not from like a Christian perspective. So, like, you know, the Star Maker, right? Just substitute him for God, and you can kind of see the same scene. You can see the same movie, but like from a different television, or you know what I mean? Like it. So you just kind of, you don't have to accept things that are wrong, but just enjoy it for what it is. And you can still, I think it still does sort of highlight scriptural truth too, if you're coming at it from a religious angle. Um, it's just a different language. It's just a different way of seeing it. And I think that's really cool. But I guess, be careful if I'm getting off a different topic too. But this book, I'll just say this. I'm a Christian, and this book strengthened my faith. It didn't hurt it in any way. So I think that's possible. Anyway, but yeah, it's super cool. He gets to meet the Star Maker, and then that's kind of the end. And then he gets put back into London, and that's the end of it. But man, this book tackles so many questions of just that every human being is going to grapple with, and concepts that is so awesome. And this is a short book too. That's what's just craziness. So I we're already going on 5 hours on this video. So I'm just gonna keep going. I this book's from the library. Okay, so if anyone from the library is watching this for some reason, I didn't write in the book. I put post-it notes so I can take them off when I return them. But I'll just, I highlighted some stuff and that I thought were really cool that I want to go over. So like one thing that hit me huge, and this was kind of towards the beginning, and this made me like, I need to absolutely finish this book. So when he goes up to when he's swept away up into the cosmos, he very quickly realizes all of his troubles and his worries and anxieties of his life are completely just bogus, like totally I don't want to say meaningless, but like in the grand scale of things, they really don't matter. And that's a good reminder for us too. There's so many little things in life that like just don't matter, that we freak out about. So like I remember when I read this part that I'll read in a second, I remember like I worked at a Caribou Coffee right out of college, and it was like, man, that place 6 a.m. on a Saturday is nuts. People are going crazy and screaming at you like, I need my coffee now, my kid's screaming and stuff. And like, yeah, so it was chaos. But I remember one morning I just like zoomed out, and kind of the same thing happened. Like I zoomed out and kind of like, not like a crazy vision, but I just kind of viewed like the whole earth. I promise I wasn't doing drugs. I had a lot of coffee that morning, but I, I kind of zoomed out and like just saw like a picture of the earth and I'm like, right now, this is meaning like this craziness, this stress level that I have because of people freaking out about their coffee right now. It's totally bogus and it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. I just started laughing and that's what kind of happened in this book. So I love that part. So, and but it's kind of sad too. Like, I'll just read it. So, this is the main character when he got swept away up into the space. He says, I reflected that not one of the visible features of this celestial and living gem revealed the presence of man. Displayed before me, though invisible, were some of the most congested centers of human population. There below me lay huge industrial regions, blackening the air with smoke. Yet all this thronging life and humanly momentous enterprise had made no mark whatever on the features of the planet. From the high lookout, the earth would have appeared no different before the dawn of man. No visiting angel or explorer from another planet could have guessed that this bland orb teemed with vermin, with world-mastering, self-torturing, incipiently angelic beasts. So, like, yeah, all the stuff that we think is important, like all the cool achievements of man, doesn't matter. Is it really that big? To us, yes. So there is importance and meaning, but to the universe as a whole, someone who has lived in space their whole life, they don't see all the achievements of man. They don't know. It don't matter to them. So I thought that was kind of cool. The other cool thing about this book too is as he describes different civilizations in different galaxies. One of the things that struck me so much because it hits on our modern times is like the use of technology in sort of keeping at bay the population, and it's scary because that's absolutely happening right now, and has in the history of man, bread and circus. In this case, it's radio. He uses radios. People they get lazy and they use radios for entertainment and stuff. Just substitute that for internet, right? But I'll just read this, which is kind of scary. This is talking about radios or again internet. Government soon discovered that the new invention, radios, gave them a cheap and effective kind of power over their subjects. Ooh, that's scary. Slum conditions could be tolerated if there was an unfailing supply of illusory luxury. People will accept their menial positions in lives, their terrible jobs. They will accept their unhappiness at home, whatever, as long as we get to watch the football game. And I don't make fun of people because I am absolutely this thing. Yeah, I'm a consumerist, absolutely. Anyway, reforms. Where am I? Reforms distasteful to the authorities could be shelved if they should be representative as inimical to the national radio system. People won't rebel against the government if the government threatens to take away their video games. Strikes and riots could often be broken by the mere threat to close down the broadcasting studios or alternatively by flooding the ether at a critical moment with some saccharine novelty. Oh, I love it. See, this is why, man, we need to read. I say this all the time. We need to read so we know what is actually happening in the world. So good, man. Okay. This is a cool part about just talking about how maybe science harmed religion. Many people think religion harms science, but it's works both ways. So, okay, so his travel friend, his name is Voltu. I don't know, he's an alien species. So he says, Voltu, on the other hand, suspected that deterioration was due to some factor in human nature itself. He was inclined to believe that it was a consequence of civilization, that in changing the whole environment of the human species, seemingly for the better, science had unwittingly brought about a state of affairs hostile to spiritual vigor. So that's a lot to unpack. That's why you have to read these paragraphs and sentences over a few times. But aren't those words so cool? Great vocabulary. Anyway. But yeah, so what we're saying is like technology has sort of harmed the environment where spiritualness, religion thrives. You know? Think about it in ancient Israel. You're sitting in a desert at night. You look up and you see the stars. and it's terrifying. Like if you've ever been on a cruise and you look out and you're out in the middle of the ocean, you look up and you see all these stars and you realize, oh man, I'm in the middle of a freaking ocean and there's stars everywhere. Like there is more out there. There is some craziness to this universe. What is it? And and you start to tap into your spiritual nature. And in the middle of a desert too, right? You're out there, it's cold, there's like animals out to get you. There's the grand tapestry of the sky and the stars. And you just can't help but wonder and just be so amazed at everything out there. And so yeah, you become spiritual, right? You search for God, you ask those questions. Technology sort of ruins that, right? I'm not talking only about light pollution. That's a good sort of analogy to it. But yeah, the light pollution, you don't see the stars. When we sit in our basements and just play video games, we don't ask those questions, We're just, we don't have to. We don't have to fend for ourselves. We don't have to go out and, no one's an atheist in a foxhole, right? When we're all in full comfort and luxury, we don't, we trick ourselves into thinking we don't need a God, right? And so that's basically what that's saying. So science sort of harms religion in that sense. I'm not saying it has to. They can be complementary, but that's what this book's saying. That stuck out to me. There's only a few more. Stick with me. Oh man, this one. Oh wait, I skipped one. Oh, this one is funny too. For people that like law, it's talking about like setting up a set of laws within a society. This is just funny. In the main, everyone kept the law because he had faith in its social value as a guide to conduct. But if ever the law seemed inadequate, he would, without hesitation, break it. So, like, why do laws exist? Why do people follow laws? That's a deep question. This suggests that people only follow laws in so much as they provide value to themselves, which is kind of cool. Probably true, too. Anyway, so this was funny, too, about utopias. When he talked about people reaching utopia, which again, utopia is just like peace and full, no conflict, everyone's in agreement. This just made, I actually laughed. I LOL'd, laughed out loud. The sentence. He says, the task of establishing utopia in the galaxy was not pursued without friction. That's kind of funny. And then he goes on to say, like, everyone has different ideas about policies and laws and how to live in a utopia, which is just funny. Okay. Oh yeah, in this part too, it stuck out to me because he's talking about like how the Star Maker or God, he's questioning, he's wondering maybe he created creatures, people, whatever, because he wanted to create something that he could not experience, which is being a creature. Which, well, I'll just read it. So he says, oh, where is it? Oh, before the beginning, the Star Maker was alone, in that for love and for community he resolved to make a perfect creature to be his mate. We imagine that he made her of his hunger for beauty and his will for love, but that he also scourged her in the making, and tormented her, so that she might at last triumph over all adversity, and thereby achieve such perfection as he in his almightiness could never attain. That's a very kudos for him thinking of that and arriving at that conclusion. Most people probably don't ever think about that. But I highlighted it because I wish I could have a conversation with Stapledon, and maybe he already knows this, I don't know. But that's not entirely true. In a lot of religions, that would be true. The Creator, in his almightiness, could never experience anything short of being almighty and overseeing everything. He doesn't get to experience what it is to be his creation. So Christianity, of course, with the incarnation, that argues against what Stapleton's saying. So Jesus is God, pre-existent, but then he becomes part of creation. He becomes human through the incarnation. And of course, it's Christmas, the birth of Jesus. And so, but then he does overcome. He's the only one that does overcome the what humanity cannot overcome. So he achieves what humanity can't. And so, as God, he experiences it all. He experiences the temptation and the trials, and he overcomes. Amen. So anyway, I wanted to call that out because Stapleton doesn't go on to say that. He might know that. I don't know. Again, I don't know his religion, but I wanted to highlight that because that's one thing I push back against is that I wish he would have gone on to say it because he's right. A lot of religions, their God does not experience anything less than being God, than being the creator. Um, but of course, in Christianity, Jesus experiences humanity. That's all I had highlighted. I could keep going. It's amazing. This book is not very big, but it has really helped impacted my life and made me a smarter person, and I love it. I love it. I think I'm gonna have to read a book that's not so dense though next because my brain is kind of all over the place. But it's good. That's all I got for today. I hope you stuck with me through this whole thing. I hope you got something out of it. And I really hope if you guys, if there's anyone that likes books like this, like me, that you are not you man, we do not find these books at the bookstore. So I hope you pick this up, and I hope that you're able to enjoy it, and you can recommend it to others too. With that, I'm going to sign off. You all have a great day. Take care. I'll see you next time.